Okay, I plan to record this seminar, which should not take more than actually 70 to 75 minutes. At the end of which you can ask me questions. The reason we thought we will have this seminar is this is the first time that we are actually having a full-fledged, full complete strength and conditioning course in India. Now in India, we do not have a strength and conditioning association. Like most people know, in America, you have National NSCA, National Strength and Conditioning Association. In England, you have United Kingdom, UKSCA. Australia has got its own strength and conditioning. South Korea, China, Poland, most of these countries have their own associations for strength and conditioning. So the important thing is a lot of people were confused whether personal training is the same as strength conditioning. You know, this is exactly the kind of questions people will ask me 10 years ago, or sorry, 12 years ago. Is Pilates the same as yoga? Pilates is not the same as yoga. Similarly, personal training is not the same as strength and conditioning. So I thought we will discuss what is strength and conditioning. Can you make money out of it in India? Strength and conditioning. If you do a course in strength and conditioning, you will be known as a strength and conditioning coach. Can you make money out of it? And why do we need an Indian strength and conditioning course? There are American courses available in India. ISSA, in fact, ISSA was our partner for 20 years, from 1999 to 21 years, 1999 to 2021. And ISSA had a wonderful strength and conditioning course, which was designed by that world famous, of course, he died about 8 years ago, Dr. Fred Hatfield. So why have an Indian course when you can easily do a correspondence course from America? So that is one point we will discuss. And a lot of people, as I mentioned, ask what is the difference between personal training and strength and conditioning? What are the career prospects or basically scope in India? And what is so unusual or unique? What are we going to teach in our strength and conditioning course? And the final question, a point where we'll try to discuss or I'll try to explain is what kind of certificate will you get? What are the approvals? What is the equivalent of this in the whole world? Let me start with the last part. Our strength and conditioning course is equal to level 1 and level 2 of Australia and the UK. According to Professor Ian Jeffreys, who designed this course, we are as good as this course is as good as the Australian strength and conditioning course level 2. It's a combination of very basic and advanced. The most advanced, of course, that will come in a degree course, you know, Bachelor of Science in Strength and Conditioning, which is 4 years, will cost you $25,000 and so on and so forth. So I think Khushbu, okay, she has just come in. She's from Indore. So these are the points that we are going to discuss one by one. What is strength and conditioning? What is the scope in India, or what are career prospects? Why should we have an Indian strength and conditioning course? What is the difference between personal training and strength and conditioning? And what does our course involve? What is it? What do we do? What kind of training should we give? To start with, to understand what is strength and conditioning, you need to know what is fitness. The fitness is developed through exercise. Okay, if you see this little chart here, the very basic thing that we do in our life, daily life, is supposed to be physical activity. Now, this word physical activity became very popular in the last 2 years because of COVID. World Health Organization said everyone should be exercising for 150 minutes in a week. Or if you do high intensity exercise, minimum it should be 75 minutes. So what is physical activity stand here? A simple example. A simple example is where instead of going by car or in an auto rickshaw to the nearest post office or a bank, I will go walking. Or where I have somebody else to clean my house, I will start cleaning the house instead of asking somebody else to do it. Instead of using remote control to control the television, I will go and actually manually change the channel or whatever it is. These are examples of physical activity. In fact, normally when personal training, I always say that before you get your new client, before you get the new client who is going to exercise for the first time, encourage that person to do physical activity for 2 or 3 weeks before coming to the gym. Physical activity is the foundation on which you have exercise. Physical activity is casual. You may do it every Sunday, or you may do it, I may clean the house today. I may wash the clothes tomorrow. Instead of putting it in the washing machine, I will wash them by my hand. I don't go to the gym, to the bank every day. So it's a casual kind of thing. So physical activity is very casual. In exercise, you are actually doing something at least twice a week, thrice a week, maybe every day, right? Certain number of repetitions are done. Maybe 12 reps or 10 reps, depending on your fitness goal. It may be aerobics, group aerobics, it could be weight training. Specific formats of exercise are followed. And sport is a combination of physical activity and exercise in which there are certain rules. And obviously, in all sports, you have to win. Everybody wants to win. Either if you win or you lose, which is not there in physical activity and which is not there in exercise. So that's one thing that you must keep in mind. Now, strength and conditioning is based on fitness. And what is fitness? It is nothing but developing of energy potential inside your body to overcome certain emergencies. Emergency could be physical, mental, emotional, physiological stress. Now, the emergency stress could be because of medical condition. It could be COVID, cancer, sardi zukam, flu, whatever it is. But stress is also imposed by exercise and sport. So when you talk in terms of physical, mental, emotional, physiological stress, you're also talking of emergency created in the body because of exercise and sport. So what is the idea of fitness? The idea is to develop that energy potential so that you can do those physical activities without getting too tired. The other thing of fitness is that, yes, our personal trainer course students will know that there are 16 types of fitness. Minimum, there are 16 common types of fitness. The permutation of, there is, combination of those fitness goals depending on the person concerned. Now, when we talk in terms of 16 types of fitness, muscle mass, which is basically the foundation of bodybuilding, or your cardiovascular endurance, which is, let us say, marathon running. These are examples of, they are not fitness, they are sports. That's one thing that you must keep in mind, that fitness is basically a combination of 16 fitness goals. And there are 8 methods of training, general methods of training to achieve the 16 fitness types. So now that means 16 multiplied by 8, you will get 128 types of clients in fitness. Okay. Now, fitness, again, as I mentioned earlier, it is based on your physical movement. If you like physical movement, then you should get into fitness. I will not become a certified fitness trainer just because I want to go to Australia or Canada or something like that. If I really love fitness, if I love physical activity, physical movement, then I should get into fitness. But now that you will see that physical activity, exercise, and sport are all interrelated. This is the first point. The second point is, which are the fitness related careers? This is a very important point in India because everybody thinks only personal training. Personal training is one of the fitness related careers. After you become a personal trainer, what will you do? How do you graduate? How do you promote yourself up? Then in that case, you should think of doing strength and sports conditioning. Now, there are other fitness careers like group exercise, group training, Pilates, corporate fitness that we are not considering here. Except the one point that I keep in mind is sports and strength and sports conditioning is based on personal training. That is why I will see at the end that if you want to be successful coach in strength and conditioning, you must have at least a good quality certificate in personal training. Let's go a step ahead now. What is strength and conditioning? This is a question often asked all over the world. It's not only Indians who ask me. I mean, Americans ask, in America, they ask their own people. What do you mean by strength and conditioning? It is a selection and execution of exercises used to improve physical and mental performance in sport. That's the main thing. This is the main thing. Strength and conditioning means Application of strength, here, last one, this is the last line. Application of strength and its functions, its avatars. If you use that Sanskrit word or Hindi word avatar in different personalities of strength, like for example, speed, stability, agility, to develop a condition which is required for a particular sport. A physical and mental condition that a bodybuilder has to have is not the same conditioning for a marathon runner or a tennis player, right? So what happens is you need to keep these things in mind, and conditioning means developing a condition specific to a sport. That is why it's called conditioning. Now, obviously, in strength and conditioning, you are going to use a lot of different types of training exercise formats. On the previous slide, I mentioned there are 8 methods of categories of training. In training, normally in person training, normally we do not use all the 8. I will come to that a little later. But in strength and conditioning is not just Olympic lifting. See, a lot of people think that strength and conditioning means mastering Olympic lifting, different Olympic compound movements and like a way a weightlifter or a power lifter will do. That is not strength and conditioning. That is developing one kind of strength. Because ultimately, as you know, there are different types of strength. There are at least 7 or 8 different types of strength. A bodybuilder's strength is different from a power lifter's strength, and his strength is different from the strength of a marathon runner, for example, or a tennis player. All are strong. In fact, in our CCPFT, we also always mention that there's it's called a continuum. It's like a line. A line, one end of that line is aerobic strength. The other end of the line is anaerobic strength. Strength and conditioning uses all these things together. Okay. Now, strength and conditioning, as I mentioned, is for sport. But which sports or which people, which athletes, which sportsmen? Is it only for IPL cricketers or professional kabaddi players? Or is it for Olympic athletes? No, it's meant for every type of sportsman, starting from the age of 6. Just as we always normally say in our CCPFT personal trainer course, that a child who is 6 years old can start training with weights. I think this OFPO F11, I'm not sure who this person is. You need to be careful of your, okay, because it's disturbing everybody here. I don't know who is the person, OPPO F1 something. Yeah, please, thank you. Now, so strength and conditioning starts at the school level. When you become a strength and conditioning coach, it's not only at the Olympic level or the IPL level or national level or international level. You can start at the school level. It is beneficial for people of different ages and also for special populations. See, today you find that there's a lot of sports at the professional level for people who are physically challenged. Right? You have para Olympics and so on. So they are also very much part of the strength and conditioning community. Before I go ahead, I will try to just erase this because this can create a problem on 1 minute. Okay. So now that you know what is strength and conditioning, primarily in the context of sport, but across all ages, across most of the medical conditions. Okay. Now, what about the scope in India? Now it's very interesting. As of April 4, 7 p.m., that is yesterday evening at 7 o'clock, the population of India was 140 crores plus. We have already crossed 140 crores. We are no more 130 crores and all that. Please remember, we add one Australia to our population every year. That was some years ago when I was doing my BCom. That is what I was told. That was in 1975 and 76. I don't know how many Australias we add to our population every year. But our population as of April 4, that is yesterday, was 140 crores plus 4 million, whatever it is, 40 lakhs or whatever it is. Now, what does it mean? That a population of 140 crores. Okay. The number of schools till about 3 years ago was 14,94,000. Nearly 15 lakh schools. Number of universities in India in 2019 or 2017 was 1045. And number of standalone institutions. Standalone means what we call deemed autonomous colleges, universities, deemed universities, that is nearly 12,000. And number of regular colleges is 43,000. Now, why do I mention this? I mentioned this because as earlier we saw in the previous slide, strength and conditioning is applicable for even to children at the age of 6. Please keep that in mind. It's from the age of 6. Strength and conditioning doesn't mean Olympic lifting for a child of 6 years old. He will not be doing Olympic lifting. But conditioning for football at the age of 6 is quite different from conditioning for a footballer who is playing professional football. This is the kind of knowledge that you are supposed to have. If our population is 140 crores, less than 5% of Indians actively participate in sport. Out of 140 crores, not even 7 crores, the 7 crore people are actively engaged in sport. In America and all that, probably it will be around 29-30%. In Russia and China, it will probably more because they didn't compulsory to play sports as per state authoritarian regimes. But this is where your scope comes up. If only 5% of the population of India, out of 140 crores, only 7 crore people are playing, then you will say, what, how will I make money? But this is exactly the point. The potential is so huge. When I was your age, that is 40, 45 years ago, hardly anybody played sport. It was, in fact, I remember my father, when I was a decent tennis player and a middle distance runner. My father would come and pull me from the ground. He said, no, come home and study. That situation has changed now, right? So the potential for sports has increased million times now, million or billion times. How big is the sports market in India? It is very difficult to predict. If you Google, they will say the value of sports market in India is around 7,000 crores a year. 7,000 crores a year, but that is not a true reflection of sports. It is this 7,000 crores includes t-shirts, purchase of t-shirts, Nike shoes, Adidas t-shirts, sponsorship of various people and so on. Yeah. So the thing is, what you have to keep in mind is India has a potential for sports. There are huge number of and variety of sports in India. Like the pictures that you see, I'm not sure how many of you will tell me what is the name of this particular game. What game is being played here? Can anyone tell me? It's a very popular game. It's a very, Kalpesh, tell me. Kho. Very few people outside Western India will know it, but it's a big thing here. And if you go to rural areas, you will find Kho attracting as if it's an IPL match. Or you go and watch Kabaddi played in Tamil Nadu or in Punjab and see the kind of crowd. I have seen volleyball being played at a height of some 10,000 feet above sea level in Himachal Pradesh. It was Himachal Pradesh police versus some Punjab 11 or some volleyball at 10 or 11,000 feet above sea level in the Himalayas. And what a crowd! You couldn't believe it. I have some photographs, probably I should have put them here. The point I'm trying to make is there are so many Indian sports apart from your typical Western sports. Western matlab cricket, football, and so on. Kabaddi, Kho. I mean, there's so many that we can think about. All these give you opportunity for strength and conditioning. And as I mentioned here, the ecosystem, that ecosystem meaning infrastructure, playgrounds, your equipment, training, workout clothes, all that is improving over the last 20 years. I mean, when I was playing late 1960s, we had only one kind of shoe. Today, there are 100 different types of shoes for different kinds of sports. So now, not only that, sports is now seen as a brand extension. Even every school wants to promote its name through sports. If they do well in sports, the school will think, okay, I will get some more students in my school. Same thing with colleges. Corporates means business houses. In today's time, business houses are not doing much, but 30, 40 years ago, it was a big thing. Now, corporate, for example, Bashir sir has just joined us. I mean, he will tell Indian Railways, for example. Indian Railways is the biggest employer of sportsmen in India. And not only bodybuilding or Railways had a fantastic team. Railways team in hockey could have played for India. So apart from the government departments, in the old days, you had Tatas, ACC, Associated Cement Companies. We had Mafatlals in football, Orchids in football. Many others then, of course, joined up with professional clubs like East Bengal, Mohan Bagan, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of potential where now sports is seen as a brand extension. Definitely at the childhood age, sports improves your personality and social skills. What do you mean by social skills? A child, if he's taught how to play, how to pass the ball, how to give without feeling selfish, he knows he'll trust that if I pass the ball will come back to me. This is all social skills. That is why a child should be allowed to play team games. So social skills at a young individual childhood, it promotes interpersonal relationships. Interpersonal means the trust between two people. If I pass the ball to you now, maybe later on you'll pass the ball back to me. That element of trust. These are the advantages of sports, team building. We all work together. I cannot. I am a member of a football team. There are 11 people on the ground. I alone cannot score goals. I need the help of the other 10 people. So this social benefits and of course health benefits. That is what is the reason for believing that there's a tremendous scope for strength and conditioning in India. And of course, there's no doubt about it. Professional sports is developing at rapid pace. Today, kabaddi players are running about 1 crore or 2 crores per year. Unthinkable, but unthinkable in some ways. But I remember in 1980s, star players in Punjab were earning 40 lakhs in those days, although it was not a professional thing. So the professional sports has improved just as right through the structure of sports, starting from schools, age groups, under 6, under 8, under 10, under 12, under 14, under 16, under 18, and youth, and so on and so forth. So the scope for strength and conditioning has improved tremendously. Now comes the important point. What is the difference between personal training and strength and conditioning? We ourselves, our own academy has got a world-class personal trainer course. Probably that is the nearest, closest to a strength and conditioning course. There's no doubt about it. Generally, other personal training, so when we talk here, when we discuss here, I'm talking of personal training courses across the world. Okay, it's not only in India. All personal training courses are good because they are good only for the limited purpose of personal training. So let's see. Can a personal trainer market himself as strength and conditioning coach? No. Because personal trainers do not have the skills or the knowledge which you require for advanced strength and conditioning. There may be few personal trainers who have developed that knowledge through experience. Or there will be personal trainers like who have done our CCPFT course. Because we teach much more than 25-30 exercises in weight training. But on the other hand, can certified strength and conditioning coaches market themselves as personal trainers? The answer is yes. Because the knowledge that you require for strength and conditioning is far more higher, more advanced than what you need in personal training. We'll discuss that a little, maybe in a couple of minutes time. The third difference is personal training in Europe, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, they all have what is called register of exercise professionals. In India, you would have heard it as reps or e-reps or whatever it is, right? But strength and conditioning is not part of reps. Whether it is UAE reps, e-reps, reps India, IC reps, all these organizations, strength and conditioning is not part of reps because they do not consider themselves to be personal trainers. But what does it mean in practical terms? For suppose somebody does our course, the strength and conditioning course, he can go directly to you and get a job because it doesn't come within the jurisdiction of reps. Even Pilates for that matter, actually. Very interesting. Now, who controls the standard of strength and conditioning? Strength and conditioning in most countries have their own association. Like for example, National Strength and Conditioning Association in America, NSCA. Their courses are available in India. You have the ASCA, Australian Strength and Conditioning Association. You have the United Kingdom Strength and Conditioning Association. You have the South Korean Strength and Conditioning Association. You got Poland, you got Ukraine, you got all kinds of associations. So they have their own setup for strength and conditioning. Unfortunately, in India, we neither have a national domestic rep. Let's be honest about it. Only those who want to go abroad can do reps or e-reps or whatever it is. If you are going to work in India, as of now, reps is not mandatory. It is not compulsory. Nor do we have strength and conditioning association, though in the last couple of years, we started doing some work on this. Then, of course, COVID came along, and then our strength and conditioning association is floating in the sea. We need to revive that thing and see how we can go forward. What is the other difference between strength and conditioning and personal training? In strength and conditioning, your knowledge of kinesiology and biomechanics is much, much, much higher. It is sport-specific kinesiology and biomechanics. The biomechanics that you require for swimming, for example, is not the same as biomechanics that you require for football. So you have to master all these, not only for football or swimming or hockey. Every game has got its own kinesiology and biomechanics. But in personal training, we have a general common exercise kinesiology. If I do bicep curls, I'm using my biceps brachii or whatever, specific things. There's nothing beyond that. So exercise kinesiology and biomechanics is very simple, relevant to personal training, but not advanced, which is what you require for for strength and conditioning. The other difference is strength and conditioning is teamwork. It is teamwork. As a strength and conditioning coach, I am not the football coach. I will help the football coach to develop the condition of the football players to play a good game. So when a strength and conditioning coach, he'll always work in close coordination with the sports coaches, nutritionists, psychologists, sports medicine specialists, physiotherapists, and so on. Now, many of you are personal trainers. I don't think personal trainers will work with such huge teams just to look after one client. You are looking after him independently, right? But a strength and conditioning coach is not the football coach. He has no idea how to play football. He has no idea how to play tennis. But he has the idea of how to give that conditioning for that particular sport. Also, from a practical point of view, a personal trainer will help a client develop what is called a perfect body, a beautiful figure, a V-shaped body, loss of fat, muscle gain, right? Everybody wants to look very well. So a personal trainer is more in the field of image building, physique building, and so on. In strength and conditioning, the strength and conditioning coach is not interested in building a perfect body for the client. He wants to see whether that person, his client, will be a good performer on the sports field. He is interested not in perfect body, but he's interested in performance of his client. So this is one very interesting difference. In fact, we always say that functional strength training, in fact, that is part of our personal trainer course also. Functional strength training is something which is quite different from typical gym training. Most personal trainers will do only typical weight training, gym training, or whatever you call it. But in sports and conditioning, your focus is more on functional training and performance. For instance, very few sportsmen will do bicep curls or tricep extension because they don't want to have additional weight, which is not required for that. Stronger the muscle, more the weight, right? But if I'm not going to use my biceps, why should I develop my biceps? Why should I carry that extra weight? So when I do my lats pull down, I'm exercising my biceps. When I'm doing my bench press, I'm exercising my triceps. But in bodybuilding, for example, you will exercise every inch of every muscle that is possible. This is one good example that you must keep in mind. Then comes this is one interesting thing. The final difference between personal training and strength and conditioning. In strength and conditioning, yes, you will use Olympic lifting, bench press, barbells, weight training, plyometrics, functional training, water fitness, psychological techniques, sports psychology techniques, all that during training. But that is not your job. Your job is to ensure, that is you in the sense as a strength and conditioning coach, you need to help the client transfer or apply that training, that condition into peak performance. that your client should be able to perform or produce peak performance at the right time in the right place. For example, Olympic athletes, every 4 years you have Olympics, right? 100 meters race gets over within less than 10 seconds. But that athlete is practicing 6 hours, 5 hours, 8 hours a day just for those 10 seconds in the Olympic final race of 100-meter sprint. So how does the strength and conditioning coach help the running coach help get the client to that peak performance at the right time, at the right moment, at the right place? Because if that athlete peaks before the Olympics, he's going to lose. He will not get the gold medal in the Olympics. So this is one interesting thing of strength and conditioning. Help convert all that the training that you gave for 4 years, all the training that you gave during post-season, off-season, pre-season, in-season, and apply that so that in such a way that that athlete will produce his best performance at the right time. But this is possible. Now, this kind of a thing is not there in personal training. Personal training, yes, we have goals. I want to lose 5% body fat. I want to put on this many inches of muscle, right? Or maybe yes, there are other medical things. For example, I want to stabilize my high blood pressure. For example, or I'm developing arthritis. Can weight training help me increase the density of bones? Those kind of things are there, but there's no specific timelines. And the timeline is basically what we call periodization. In sports strength and conditioning, periodization is very, very, very detailed, accurate, and the different periodizations for off-season, post-season, pre-season, in-season. So what happens is extremely detailed macrocycles, mesocycles, and microcycles for post-season, off-season, pre-season, in strength and conditioning. In personal training, it is general kind of periodization. In Europe, particularly in Europe and also in America, a strength and conditioning course is a degree course. It's a degree course. That means it is a bachelor's degree course. But the problem is it is terribly expensive. Can cost you around $20,000 or something. It's very expensive. We have started a certificate course through the university. Maybe by God's grace, maybe in the next 5 years, our certificate course may become a degree course, for which I'm already talking to government of Maharashtra in this regard. But as far as we are concerned, in this our context, strength and conditioning is best useful if you already have a good personal training certification. If you don't have a personal training certification, then what? But you want to do strength and conditioning, then get in touch with me tomorrow via on phone. I will guide you. I will not cheat, but I'll tell you the right way of doing about it. Okay. I'll take questions from you at the end of the presentation. Now, this question is why an Indian strength and conditioning course? Why can't I do any other American course or British course? Why not? You can do it. But will you be able to apply that knowledge to Indian conditions? I'll give you one simple example. This was in 1992. In 1992, my son was 8 years old. He's a promising tennis player. I'm talking about my son when he was 8 years old in 1992. His tennis coach gave him a diet. And the tennis coach told me, Dilip, this diet plan is used by Ivan Lendl. Ivan Lendl was a world famous tennis player in the 1980s or 1990s. I was shocked. I said that fellow is eating beef and highly protein oriented diet, and we are all carbohydrate oriented diet. He was 6'4". My son is so small at the age of 8. So how can you apply those principles in Indian conditions? And this is something you must keep in mind. Average Indian male height is 5'4", between 5'4" and 5'8". And average Indian female height is between 5 feet and 5'3" inches. Average Indian male weight is 65 kilos. A woman is 55 kilos. Our dietary habits are more carbohydrate oriented. And we love home food. We love home food. But I know foreign coaches who came to train some international athletes in India about 2 years ago, 2019. In fact, they all complain that they come for 2 months and they run saying that we want home food. They don't want to stay and have the typical, measured sports nutrition based diets. Cultural factors affect psychological parameters. Now, this is a separate subject altogether. But socio-economic conditions. I don't have the money to pay for whey protein. Where am I going to get it? Which whey protein do I take? Right? Socio-psychological conditions. So socio-psychological, my God, what will people say? I'm only spending 6 hours a day on only sports. I will not mention that name. I happened to go to a college in the early 1970s, 1972 to 76 or something like that. My benchmate was a world famous cricketer. He even captained India, but he took 7 years to finish his BCom. How many people how many families in India will say, "My, what will they say? 7 saal lagaya. You took 7 years to do your BCom." Nobody will say that. Oh, you went on to become captain of India in cricket. So those are typical socio-psychological conditions. All these should be taken in strength and conditioning in our country. This is one of the reasons why countries like China and South Korea, where the height of people is also low, have adjusted Western sciences to their own unique attributes. For example, flexibility, speed, and agility. Exactly what Indians have. Indians generally do not have the same strength as an American person of that same age. But we are definitely more flexible. We got more speed. We have more agility. So why not make use of that? Right? They are also quick thinking. So this is something we have to keep in mind. Not only China or South Korea, even Europeans found that they can't do strength and conditioning like the way they do in America. And this is something, it is there on my blog. On our website, you'll find blogs, and there's an interview with Professor Ian Jeffreys, which I did 2 years ago. And he specifically mentioned this very interesting thing. Why do we call it strength and conditioning? Because originally, strength and conditioning was designed for American football players. Do you know those American football? They are all 6'7", 300 pounds, pure muscle, where they do a lot of heavy lifting. So that strength basically is for American football. But in hockey, for example, you don't need that kind of strength, right? Or for table tennis, you don't need that kind of strength altogether. So that strength focus should be less, more focus should be on conditioning part of it. And this is where the Chinese and the South Koreans have learned. And when Professor Ian Jeffreys came to India in 2018, 2019, in 2018, I took him, he taught in Mumbai, he taught in Belgaum and Goa. And in 2019, I think Angshul, yes, he was trained in Mumbai and also went to Guwahati. So he has got a good picture of what happens in India. So now, are there any other courses available for strength and conditioning in India? Of course, there are many. You know that. You can Google and find out. But they're all, as I mentioned, strength oriented. Because American courses in strength and conditioning normally look more focused more on strength, because that was how it was designed for. National NSCA, National Strength and Conditioning Association was, I forget the correct name, Epley, Boyd Epley. I can't get the correct name. Probably those who are interested, I can send a WhatsApp me and I'll WhatsApp you the answer. He was basically an American football coach, the founder of NSCA. Nothing wrong in that. But we are not playing American football. Our height is not 6 feet 2 inches. Our strong points are quite different. So we should take advantage of those our qualities. Also, most courses that are available are online. Either they're 100% online or maybe 85% online. As I mentioned, they are not applicable in India, entirely applicable in India. There is weak support. I mean, they don't teach you much about nutrition or sports psychology. And because it's a correspondence course, self-education course, they do not teach you how to transfer training. Preparation means training into peak performance. And most important, there is no post-certification mentoring. You finish the course, you got the certificate, but nobody from that side, education provider side, will guide you how to train a particular person or whatever. So these are the reasons why we thought we need to develop our own course, and that to not just our course, but to the University of Mumbai. Okay. What is our course now? Let's be honest about it. I am not an expert in strength and conditioning. Professor Ian Jeffreys we have taken 2 years to develop this course. During COVID, he and I corresponded, discussed a lot of things. Anshuman also part of the discussions. We came up with some interesting kind of a syllabus. This course that you will be doing is conducted with the BPCA College of Physical Education, that is through the University of Mumbai. It is at the moment approved as an extension of our personal trainer course. But probably this academic year, we will get a independent certificate course for, university, I think only for the strength and conditioning thing, which ultimately probably in the next 5 years, we can develop into a degree course. What is Professor Jeffries going to teach you? Now, this is please keep this in mind. He's world famous for that, what I mentioned here. Ramping. Ramping is how to progressively warm up towards peak performance. He has written books on this. The other thing that is very famous is called game speed. Game speed in the sense, how do you develop your agility and your other parameters and not necessarily only the strength. See, strength multiplied by speed will give you power. But suppose my strength is less, then what do? I need to increase my speed, right? That is what this game speed talks about. He has done this game speed in Belgaum, in Keli Medical University. He has done it in Guwahati. He has done it in Mumbai. He has done it in Goa. And it's always been a hit. He's world famous for it. You can Google Dr. Game Speed Ian Jeffreys and see what you get. In fact, he'll be coming to India in June, August, and October to teach all these things. How to generate or develop force capacities. Force means power, speed and agility capacities, endurance capacities. See the big picture. See the big picture in the sense you have a team of 11 football players. There are 11 football players, or maybe there are 22 football players, maybe 3-4 for each of those positions. They are going to play on the football pitch. Each one of them has got his own plus point and minus point, right? All players are not the same. Someone is tall, someone is short, someone is very fast, someone is very slow, someone is more flexible, somebody is more strong. So how do you see the whole team as a team and then develop each one of them to contribute more to the team? That's called the big picture. Zeroing on the target is basically what is the peak performance? What do you mean by peak performance in a particular sport? That's the target. That's the main goal of your macro cycle. And then how do you translate or change or transition from training to performance? Once that is done, then how do you analyze? Where did you go wrong? Where did you do right? What happened? Can we improve? Can that player himself improve? So all these are effective, periodization. Macrocycle, mesocycles, microcycles for each of the different 4 parts of the season: post-season, off-season, pre-season, and in-season. So this is what he's going to teach. And as I mentioned to you earlier, ramping game speed is going to be very much part of his strength and conditioning program. So there are certain things that he will teach personally. There are certain things he will record on Zoom, and which Anshuman sir and Bashir sir and of course Ratnadeep, I don't think he has come here. They will teach on the basis of the videos that Ian sends us. What is the syllabus of our strength and conditioning course? Well, we have the usual anatomy, physiology, exercise, biomechanics, and all that. But as I mentioned to you earlier, apart from this foundation phase, basic stuff, we'll also be doing sports physiology, sports kinesiology, sports nutrition, which is higher than what we normally do in a personal trainer course. It'll be quite different because there you'll be doing sports nutrition for each of the, I think we have selected 16 or 17 different sports. So each of those 17 sports, post-season, off-season, pre-season, in-season, there'll be case studies, there'll be samples given for you to study. And you will get fairly decently printed textbooks from us. Both are available as a hard copy and also on as ebooks. Now, dietetics, nutrition, sports, all that I mentioned in terms of steroids, what does WADA say, what does NADA say, all that will be taken. Sports psychology is also a major thing because unless you are mentally, you are able to motivate a client, you're not going anywhere. Facility management. Now, this is very practical kind of a thing. I mean, you as a strength and conditioning coach, you might become the manager or strength and conditioning coach for a big football team or a kabaddi team. So how will you manage that gym? What facilities you should have? What should be safety requirement? All that will be taught in this particular thing. And of course, safety and injury prevention and management. That's first aid. And of course, Dr. Meenakshi will teach you basic sports injury management on the field itself. This is something more interesting. These are the topics which Professor Online Ian Jeffreys will teach, and how to recover after training or after a tournament, strength and conditioning for children, strength and conditioning for special populations, performing in extreme environment. For example, temperature is, we are now getting into summer. Temperature is 45 degrees, 44, 50 degrees Celsius. How do you perform there? Or maybe in Amritsar in winter, in January, it can go up to -1, -2. So how do you perform in that situation? All these things he will take into account, including the practical training in strength training, functional training. All these will be taught, not by Ian Jeffries. That is what our faculty will teach. Ian Jeffries will only tell you how to integrate this entire thing. What is plyometrics, how to do plyometrics, our other faculty will teach. But how to apply plyometrics in a particular sports conditioning program, he will teach. And this is one textbook, since we are giving this entire course at a very highly discounted price. This particular book, you will have to pay extra if you want that book. It is optional. Effective Coaching in Strength and Conditioning, which is the official textbook for the thing. That comes, I think you can buy it on your own if you want. I think it comes to 2,900 on Amazon or whatever it is. This, apart from this book, except this book, there are 6 other, or I think there are 9 other books, which we will give you as part of your fee. How will we teach? As I mentioned earlier, online courses, there'll be online teaching. There'll also be home study. You have to do lots of project work. You have to do a lot of video recordings and send to us. Not a typical bicep curl and all that, but a little more complicated, more exciting kind of stuff. And then, of course, in person. In person means what we call offline or physical. Where will we hold these physical classes? Now that remains to be seen. Mumbai is one of the, wherever we have more than 20 students, we will conduct classes there, period. Number one. Number two, all these that you see, strength training, functional training, weight training, plyometrics, these are courses that we conduct throughout the country, throughout the year. So there are no specific dates for strength and conditioning students to attend. Now, for example, I think Ratnadeep will be teaching all this in Mumbai in the month of June. So our strength and conditioning students can attend those workshops. Or the same thing in Kolkata in the month of June or July. I think Anshuman will start a new batch now, probably in Guwahati. Bashir sir will, of course, we have ongoing courses in Kerala. So you have chances to do all these basic preparatory stuff until Professor Jeffries comes. But Professor Jeffries cannot go to Guwahati, Mumbai, Kerala, Kolkata at the same time. You know? So probably in the month of June, he will do 2 cities. In August, he will do 2 more cities. So we will do that in a very fair, equitable manner. Okay. What programs you will be doing? Practical training, advanced strength training. You get a textbook plus 550 exercise videos. Yes, we are very proud of this. This is one personal trainer course and strength and conditioning course where you get lots of exercise videos. Personal trainer students get 1,400 approximately. Here probably, I don't know, just count 650, 750, 1,000, around 1,100 you are going to get. Strength and conditioning, you will actually get access to these exercise videos. Each is individually shot. Okay, a functional strength training, a book plus 100 exercise videos, plyometrics, a textbook plus 100 exercise videos, functional rate, that is stretching, 250. Now, this is very interesting. When you talk in terms of functional range of motion or stretching, remember one thing, you can do stretching for 3 reasons. You can do it for warm up, you can do it for flexibility, and equally important, you can do stretching for strengthening your tendons, your connective tissues. What is the point of having strength in your bicep if your tendon, connective tendon is not strong enough, right? My bicep muscle probably can lift 50-pound dumbbell, but if the tendon is weak, I cannot even lift 5 pounds. So that is one thing that we need to keep in mind. It is not just conditioning the muscle, but also conditioning the connective tissue. And of course, which was not there earlier, I've added this water fitness and conditioning, where if you know to swim and the clients know to swim, particularly during sports injury rehabilitation, they need to exercise. They can't put shock, and they cannot shock or put pressure or stress on their joints. So exercising in the shallow end of water is great. And we have shortcut 80 exercise videos for this. So all these you will get certificates plus all these books and your this thing. Okay. Now, I've already discussed the Gati, so I will not take your more time on this point. Online classes will normally be on Tuesdays and Thursdays after 2:30 to 4:30, and on Sundays it will be 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Practical training normally we do at 10 o'clock. From 10 o'clock on Sundays, normally it is Saturday or Sunday, from 10 o'clock to 4, from 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. When Professor Ian Jeffreys comes to teach, he'll come to teach 4 to 5 days each of these 3 months. He's different. Okay, I can show you his videos a little later. He'll start the class at 9 o'clock and end at 5 o'clock. He doesn't have lunch, he doesn't drink water, nothing. He just teach. He loves to teach. He is passionate about it, and he loves India. People who have, I don't know if you know any of the students in Goa or Belgaum or Gawati, they will tell that he really teaches, and he will not only teach, he will do what you're supposed to teach, what you're supposed to do. And I can show something where the students are comparatively weaker compared to Ian Jeffries. Mumbai, we're definitely doing the practical training with Professor Ian Jeffries. Thrissur and Gawati look to be the other two places we'll definitely do conduct. But suppose we have 20 students in Pune or 25 students in Calcutta or Delhi, we will go there also. Okay. Now the timing may differ. It may not be in June, it may be in August, but we'll definitely cover these places. How do we teach? How do we teach? This is how we teach. This is a very famous Dr. Francisca Tan, Chinese origin Malaysian bodybuilder. She is no more into bodybuilding. She was a doctor. She's doing her MD in medicine in Belgaum. And she decided to do our course in Goa. This is about 5 or 6 years ago. And I told her to shoot for us. So this is how we teach you. We will teach you, I don't know, she's doing some barbell squat. We will tell you how to execute that barbell squat. What are the variations that you can do? What are the safety that you should keep in mind? And each video will be something like this. There are 550 videos that you'll get on advanced strength training. Okay. This is just an example, one of the 550 exercises. This is in functional training. Now, unfortunately, okay, let us see what this girl is doing. Her name is Shilpa Sundar, originally from Bangalore, was a world junior athletics champion, has participated in Beijing Junior World Championships. She's married, has got children, she has gone to America. So these are functional training exercises that she demonstrates. This particular one is called defensive under twos. Same thing I am repeating again so that you can see it clearly. This is a very well-known personal trainer from Siliguri who was one of our students, and she very kindly said she will do some modeling for us. So these are functional strength training, okay, where you use different multi-planar, multi-joint movements on as per the definition of functional training. So you actually for function, each of that means you are going to get all these kind of well-made videos which you can practice at home. That is why we have the confidence that even if you were to do most of it online and attend Professor Ian Jeffreys' practical training workshops or lectures for 4 or 5 or 6 days, it should help you because nobody else gives you this kind of videos. This is functional strength training, stretching, sorry, where you stretch. Here she's stretching the hamstrings with a weight. Stretching, when done with light weights, can actually help you develop your connective tissue. Now this is where, let me see whether I'm the right. Okay. These are two scenes, two video clips of Ian Jeffreys training the Sports Authority of Goa coaches. As you will see, all the coaches are standing in the background. And Norbert's is a very well-known chain of gyms in Goa, and many of their trainers were also there in that particular thing. And see how he trains. Okay. This is the man in the blue is Professor Ian Jeffreys. Sorry, that was me laughing. I'm sorry. You missed that other thing. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. There's some. You should see the way Ian Jeffries himself sprints. Let me try again. Okay. Oh, oh. Sorry. Oh, there is some problem with the video. Uh, but anyway, it gives you an idea of the way he trades. Now, the thing is, what is the main thing of our course? There's no doubt. It's Ian Jeffries himself. He is the most highly qualified person specialist in strength and conditioning anywhere in the world. Okay. He is the world authority in development of speed, agility, and conditioning for team sports, basically, but he also does a lot of work for individual sports, like, for example, tennis or marathon runners and so on. He has developed, as I mentioned to earlier, game speed and ramping. You can Google him and find out lots of, he has written God knows how many books, 20 or 30 books. And he is considered to be one of the big people in NSA. In the National Strength Conditioning Association, he narrowly lost the election to the president of NSCA just 2 years ago. He's very well known across the world. He was on the British Olympic Association Register of Strength and Conditioning Professionals. That means he has trained Olympic athletes. He is the founder of United Kingdom Strength and Conditioning Association. And most important, this is very important, very useful for Indians. He was advisor to South Korean and Polish Strength and Conditioning Association, Shanghai Sports Institute in China. He has done a lot of work with professional teams in UK, USA, China, Australia, Korea. My God, the name. Look at the list: Germany, Japan, Norway, Ireland, Poland, Iceland, Portugal, and the Netherlands. That's Holland, right? And he is worked with the Chinese with the Chinese government to how to develop sports in China. That's why we have mentioned here Chinese General Administration of Sport. And of course, we are proud to have him as our visiting faculty and also with the BPC, which is our education partner. He has written many, many, many books. Just for Google Professor Ian Jeffries, and you'll get a lot of stuff on this guy. It will be this from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the evening for 5 days. You are going to get nothing but new knowledge in a very exciting, happy environment. He's all the while cracking jokes, and when he makes you run, he's going to run. And 90% of, probably he's going to overtake you and come first in that particular kind of a competition. Apart from Ian Jeffries, who are the other guys? Of course, we are very proud to have people like Ratnadeep. I don't know whether he's here. Bashir sir, of course, probably Anshuman, of course. Anshuman sir is probably sitting there somewhere, and I think probably he's India's best known kettlebells coach for the Assam team, national team. They have won the championships any number of times. Brilliant sports nutritionist, kettlebells coach, strength and conditioning coach, based in Guwahati. And of course, many of you probably know Bashir sir. Definitely India's most successful bodybuilding coach. There's no doubt about it. Himself a prominent, very well-known international bodybuilder. And one advantage Bashir sir has got that apart from his expertise and experience in bodybuilding, he was also big time in weightlifting. So that gives him a very good approach to strength training. It is not just from a bodybuilder's point of view. Then we also have Dr. Meenakshi. She could not join us today. I don't know, Meenakshi is somewhere here on the right-hand side. She is a sports physio who has worked with the Indian women's team, Olympic teams in boxing and wrestling. Now, as you know, boxing and wrestling are two sports where there are a lot of injuries. So imagine what this girl has seen. She has traveled to the Indian women's team. So when she teaches you sports injury management, she teaches you it's sheer experience. And a very good teacher. She was a professor of physiotherapy in Haryana. She is currently posted in SAI, Sports Authority of India in Lucknow. Then we have Madhumita Neog, and of course, one name I forgot to add was Devanjali Mazumdar from Mumbai. My apologies to Devanjali. Both Madhumita and Devanjali will look after advanced sports nutrition. When I talk of sports nutrition, it is not that typical amino acid supplements, 24 grams of whey protein, which we talk in terms of personal training. This is far more advanced in the context of 16 different games. The 16 sports do not include bodybuilding because we have a separate bodybuilding coaching program, which Bashir sir is in charge of. Saima will be there to teach Pilates, functional range of motion, and so on and so forth. Amruta is one name I will like to hear, the one on the left side. She was national swimming champion, national cycling champion that got into, what is it called? Oh my God. Where you do running, cycling, and swimming. Triathlon, right? She was a triathlon national champion, and then she's also a master's degree holder in psychology. So because of her national and international experience in sport, that too a triathlon, this mental training at its best. She's a brilliant sports psychologist. She'll be teaching a sports psychology part of it. So if you notice one thing, that this strength and conditioning course that we are giving you is absolutely integrated. Whatever you need to know as a strength and conditioning coach, you have. We even will also introduce you to Pilates. Although Pilates is not really part of this particular thing, but you need to know Pilates. Why is Pilates important? Because, for instance, in the Football World Cup that took place in South Africa some 12 years ago, out of the 32 teams who came to the World Cup finals, 20 or 24 were actually using Pilates for in-season conditioning. So Pilates is a big thing. Pilates is not only for women or this, that. No, Pilates is very, it takes a lot of strength, core strength, for example. So we will introduce you to a lot more of exercise formats, which then we wanted to work on that. Because as I mentioned earlier, strength and conditioning, I want you guys to focus more on the conditioning part and less on the strength part. Not that strength is not important, but as I was talking to somebody this morning, an American 16-year-old boy in America, a 16-year-old high school athlete bench presses 220 pounds. How many of us will do 220-pound bench press in India? Because they're much bigger in size. It's not our fault. It's just that nature has made us like that. You understand? So this is the thing that we must keep in mind. And remember one thing, strength and conditioning is a name that was given by the Americans. I think he's Boyd Epley or Epley Boyd, I forget the name. He's the founder of NSCA. You can Google him. He was essentially he's the world probably one of the most famous American football coaches. Okay. So that strength is okay. Even Europe has changed it, adapted strength and conditioning to European standards, because all Europeans are not so big. Now, for example, Spain or Italy, they are not like the Russians who are big in size and all that. Same thing in China, Korea, and of course in India. So this is the general. Of course, there will be many more other who are going to teach. Okay, and one thing for sure, unfortunately, we'll be teaching only in English because Professor Ian Jeffreys speaks only English. But wherever we have online classes, we will try to have translations done. Now, for instance, if we have decent number of students from Kerala, if we have 25 students or 15 students, then we can have a translator who then will translate the recorded sessions in Malayalam, or it could be in Guwahati, it could be in Assamese or something like that. We are very flexible. Our academy is very, very, very flexible. We'll try to help you to the extent that's possible. Now, somewhere here you'll find in blue written Focus Awards. What does that mean? Our academy is probably the only academy where we teach our teachers how to teach. Not that they do not know how to teach, but they are all internationally certified as level 3 tutor, assessor. Tutor means faculty, teacher, master trainer. Assessor means examiner. And some of them are also our internal quality assurance. Because when we do a program, we actually analyze, have we done the right quality? Can we improve? Has the student been given the knowledge that we want him to get? We take this, at least we all take this very, very seriously. So that's the reason. And those who have not done this Focus Award course, like Amruta, Madhumita, Devanjali, They will also be doing this course probably over the next 1 year. We did it in, I think, height of COVID, May 2020. Then मेरे पास पैसा नहीं था, so I had to postpone that thing because the academy pays for it, because we want the best standards to be given to the students. If you give us your 45,000 rupees, we want to see that you get knowledge worth 2 lakh rupees. You know what I mean? That's the way we deal in our situation. Yes, as I mentioned, we come to the fee. The actual fee, by the way, is 58,000. Okay. And that included this wonderful book by Professor Ian Jeffreys. Now, because it's a first batch, it's a one-time discounted fee. After this, we are not going to give discounts. But this 45,000, which is payable in 5 installments, monthly installments. But if you want this book by Professor Ian Jeffreys, either you can buy it at 2,900 from Amazon on your own, or if you send us extra 3,500, we'll arrange to give, because it costs money to send you the courier the book to you, right? It's quite a big fat book. So I leave it to you guys. But this book is important. Originally, it was shown as part of the 58,000 rupees. But for us, it's a little difficult, expensive for me to give everything at that discounted rate, because I also have to, we have university as our partner. I have to make payment to the faculty and, etc., etc., etc. Optional skills India. अगर आप बाहर जाना चाहते, if you want to go abroad, this may help. But as I mentioned to you, strength and conditioning is not part of IC reps, E reps. We are part of E reps. It is not. Strength and conditioning is totally different. Okay. So probably now, how do you, suppose you go for a job, you go look for a job in UAE, then they are going to ask you what level are you. So that will work out. According to Professor Ian Jeffreys, we are level 2. Combination level 1 and level 2 of Australian Strength and Conditioning Association, which, by the way, is a good compliment. Okay. What are the student eligibility conditions? Minimum, there's no doubt about it, 10+2, should also understand English and must hold, ideally speaking, preferably, ho sake to, if possible, have a good personal trainer certificate code like our Gayo University CCPFT or ISSA, NASM, NSC, or whatever it is, and have minimum 3 years of training experience. Okay. Yes, other than that, sports coaching certificates in any international Olympic Committee recognized sports or Indian sports from Sports Authority of India or national or federal world associations for that particular sport, we will accept it. Must be physically fit, but that does not mean that physically challenged people cannot come. Okay, that guy is not here today on the seminar because he's already joined. He's a polio patient, but he's a Paralympic, what is called paraplegic powerlifting champion. So he's already joined. So he says, I don't want to come for the seminar. So physical challenge is no big deal. They can come and join us. And if you have this particularly sports coaching certificate from SAI or good personal trainer certificate, you do not have to attend the phase 1, that is kinesiology biomechanics. You will not get a discount, further discount, but you don't have to attend it. That's what we call course credits. Payment, yes, I will like the payment to be made on time. 45,000 divided by 5 is 9,000 rupees each month over a period of 5 months, which is not going to be difficult. This is where we stop, I think. And I will, any questions, please ask me. Thank you. Any questions? Hello. I hope people are not gone to sleep. Akshay, you want to add anything? What was your experience with Ian Jeffreys when he came to Guwahati? Hello.
So you're getting my voice?
Yes, yes, I can hear you. What was your experience about Ian Jeffreys? You can speak a few words about him.
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience, sir. He, apart from the immense knowledge that he has, he is a very approachable human being. He's a very approachable teacher. He's very friendly, and the best thing is that he understands, he listens to you when you talk to him, and he has got a wealth of experience, I think, a wealth of knowledge, and you can absorb a lot by just spending some time with him. And I think we had a huge batch here in Guwahati. We had more than 70 plus students,
Yes, I just remember
and
that.
everyone enjoyed it. Everyone still talks about him, and I think it's a great opportunity to learn from him, and that is what I think I'm also looking forward personally to learn much more when he comes back to India.
That's right. I mean, thank you, Anshuman. I think what you say is very right. If you go by his, if you go by his experience and qualifications, I think it's a great asset to Indian sport, not necessarily only Gayo Fitness Academy or some of you students here. I hope some of you will join us.
Yes.
This is what I want. Any questions? Any questions from anyone? Okay, there's one thing I want to tell you all. If there are no questions, I will wind up because all of you want to go have your chaya, whatever it is, what will you call it. Many of you have my number. Some of you may not have my number. My telephone number is 98200. Please note it down. I repeat, 98200 I repeat, 98200 Remember one thing, strength and conditioning course is a fantastic course. I want you to join this course, but don't do it because you want a certificate. Do it because you want to develop your career outside personal training. We normally say, "No, mere paas personal trainer ka certificate hai. I got a personal training certificate. I know everything." No, that doesn't work now. Because today, education and certification is more important than it was before COVID. Okay. So that's one thing you guys need to keep in mind, because it is a lifelong decision. ये जिंदगी भर का सवाल है. This is pertains to your entire life. It is not like today I am not happy, comfortable with this. I don't know what color this is. Rust colored t-shirt. I'll wear a blue t-shirt. Doing a course is not like that. It is something to do with your life. So think and do it. Call me any number of times. I have given you my number. Call me and talk to me. You understand? And I love to talk and talk to youngsters because it is a lifelong thing. It is not one of chalo hum pictures jate hain, multiplex jate. It is not like that. Take your time. That is why I said before we start the enrollment process on April 10th, the course will start on May. The first Tuesday after, I think it's May 2 or May 3. I don't remember which date. I think it's May 3 or May 2. The detailed timetable will be posted as soon as the enrollment process starts on April 10th. There are already 9 students who have joined us much before the April 10 date. The reason why we put April 10 was that after this seminar, and there's one more seminar. Today morning, I had one seminar for state government sports authorities from 5 different states. It was a closed kind of a thing for 100 people in that thing. After the seminar, digest the information, think about it, and then get back. Call me, for God's sake, WhatsApp me, and I'll give you a call. Okay? And don't feel shy. Don't feel shy to ask questions. So, anything else? Any other questions? I see there are no. Someone says, can you repeat the number? Okay, I'll write it here. 98200 I have typed it here. Why is it? Has it gone in? Uh-oh. Have you got my message? Everyone in meeting. Okay. Yeah. 98200 Call me anytime between 5 in the morning and 6 in the evening. After 6 in the evening, I'm not available. Okay. I'm spending time with my grandchildren. But no, I was joking. You are welcome to call me not at 5 o'clock in the morning, but after 9 in the morning, I'm free. WhatsApp me. WhatsApp Kuro, I will call you back. Okay. And Anshuman sir is, of course, he knows, he has done work with Ian Jeffreys in Guwahati, and he's very much part of this entire strength and conditioning course. So those who are in Assam, I find 1 or 2 names here. I think, of course, that group is coming on day after, no? So be in touch with us. Bashir sir in Kerala will, of course, coordinate for us in Kerala. And I don't think Bashir sir has any questions to ask because he has understood everything and he's an expert himself. So that should not be a problem. So I think, shall I close now? Hello.
Yes, sir, I think so.
Okay. Bye, guys. Today's Tuesday, so I can't say have a nice weekend. Weekend is still ahead. Be in touch with me. Keep calling me. I'll be happy to help you. Okay. Bye bye. And God
Okay,
bless.
sir. Thank you.
God bless you. God bless. Bye bye.